When it comes to pedaling our bikes or running, a lot of us tend to think about the core as being the muscles on the front. But on the same side, we also have the posterior chain and everybody talking about deadlifts. How is this supposed to go together? I'm not really sure.
Magnets, how do they work?
I got a great idea. We're going to show you guys how to do a back on bench hip lift march, which is going to teach you some rotary stability, get your internal and obliques and glutes to work together in a very different plane than what you're used to out in your sport. When it comes to being able to train your core, everything between your neck, your elbows, and your knees, we really want to teach the muscles how to coordinate together. We want to get stiffness where we need it in the right amounts so we can get movement where we need it in the right amounts and when we need it. And this is a challenge for a lot of us as cyclists in particular because our hamstrings get overactive and the glutes get a little bit lazy. Now previously here on the HVTraining channel we talked about the supported hip airplane, so if you haven't already seen that, watch the end of this video all the way to the end, to get to the end.
Well, duh.
And make sure you're hitting the subscribe button before you come to this exercise. We've got to teach the glute how to stabilize moving about the hip before we come to this area. All right, now we have a bench here which is a little bit high for Jordana, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab, oh, look at that behind me. There's a step. How convenient. I wonder how that got there. We're going to take this aerobic step and we're going to bring her feet up. We want to have her roughly about 90 degrees. Now the reason this is important is we don't want her having to go through too big of a range of motion because the hamstrings will get a little bit overactive. Now I'm probably going to have to move that thing out. So let's put your shoulder blades back on the bench and see where you're at. Let's try moving the feet a little bit further forward. Awesome. Okay, this is the setup that we want. Now for most of you, you won't need an aerobic step, but again, that height is really important. Now from here, her chin is going to be tucked down to the chest. She's going to be looking at her belly button the entire time. This is going to put a little bit of stretch into the posterior chain, all the muscles on the backside. Now from here, she's going to create a little bit of tension through the bottom of her foot, through the arch, and she's going to use the glutes to fire straight up, keeping her rib cage and pelvis locked together. Let's go through a bad rep, showing what a curl up would look like. Okay, so notice how the hips kind of came forward first and then the rib cage. We do not want that. We want to keep a full 360-degree brace, and from here she wants to use her glutes to come all the way up to the top of the position. This is the starting point of our exercise, but you have to get the setup right. Everything matters, and you've got to get the setup correctly. Now from here, she should only feel her glutes firing and her midsection.
Yeah, mostly.
Roughly?
Yep, mostly.
How much hamstring?
Just very little.
Oh, very little. Okay, so let's come back down for a second and then take the feet a little bit further away, and let's try that. Awesome. Did you see that adjustment? That was literally a ½ inch. That's how you're going to play as well. So she's active in through the bottom of the foot. Now, here's the exercise itself. Really difficult. Brace the midsection and then lift one leg up to 90 degrees without letting the hips drop, and then down slowly under control. And the second hardest part is lowering the leg, keeping the hips even, and then the other side comes up. Don't let it drop. Come on. And then back down, slow and controlled, and then down. So you'll notice the second leg, she really rushed through that because it's a very challenging exercise. You can do this exercise fast. Relax for just a second. You can do this exercise fast, but you're losing the ability to produce control and stiffness, and that's exactly what we're looking for out of this. So this is an important teaching point because exactly what she did is what all of us are going to want to do, myself included. The magic in this isn't in sets and repetitions necessarily, it's in the mind-muscle connection. So if you're like me right now, I can do 2 of these, and then I'm done. I can't control the hips. What we want to do is work on the ability to brace the entire 360-degree midsection to keep the hip from dropping when we come up with the leg and dropping when we bring it down. It's all about control. Let's try 3 reps in a row, see if we can get that. If it's too much, let me know, we'll just do 2. Good, feet shoulder width apart. Her shoulder blades are resting on the bench. We're not further below. We want to make sure the shoulder blades are on. Chin at the stomach, good. Just glutes there?
Just glutes.
Awesome, okay. So your choice. Good. So you'll notice she's shaking. So as she lifts that leg, she has to squeeze the glute and feel the foot on the ground. She has to brace really hard. Much better. There we go. Up, 90-90. Control, and then down. So each repetition after one right, one left, we come back down, get a stretch in the glutes, take the tension off, keep the rib cage and hips locked together, and then come back up. So you'll notice right there, if she was on the right size bench, her butt would have just grazed the floor. We're gonna go back through. Brace, come on, hard, hard, hard. Good, excellent. So there she had a little bit of movement, that's all right. Control, and then all the way down, get a stretch. So she's feeling the glute stretch. Some of you won't feel that, you'll just kind of get a rest in that position. And then coming back up, let's do left leg first. So that really called out her weakness just a little bit where it dropped. And that very small, come on, drive, drive, drive. That very small change in the hip level is what we're looking for. A little bit is okay, but we don't want to have a lot, and relax. Where do you feel that?
Mostly in my left glute more than my right side. A little bit in my back.
Okay.
But like working. Good.
In a good way.
Good way.
So she's not like most of us.
My core.
She's got a really good balance at this point. If you followed here on the HVTraining channel, you've actually seen her progression as an athlete over the last, 2 years or so, so pre-corona, and she's really come a long way. For many of us, including myself right now, 2 or 3 these each side maximum. So it's all about not getting hamstring cramp, not getting a sharp pain or any type of stiffness or seizing, cramping in the back. So small ranges of motion. If you can't get the foot all the way up without the hip dropping, then just lift the foot up and it will look like this. We'll do just one, just getting the weight off the foot so it's hovering a half a centimeter even. The range of motion off the ground with the foot is not what's important, it's the control of the hip and the midsection stiffness. So same starting point, she's gonna just barely lift the foot off the ground and then back down, squeeze, same thing the other side, good, back down. And even if you can't do that, let's do one repetition where we just kind of get everything but the big toe off the floor. So just coming up onto the big toe, trying to unweight without the hamstring firing, and then the same thing on the other side. So that right there is your regression, and relax. So the full range of motion to 90-90. If you can't do that, you only go through the range of motion you can, even if it's only 3 or 4 inches. And if you can't do that, you just lift that weight onto the pinky toe and then try and unweight, or I'm sorry, the big toe. So getting the pinky toe off the floor. Now, if you found this video to be interesting as to how to tie together posterior chain and core exercise to help you to be able to be more stable and strong on the bike or your run, make sure you're hitting subscribe down below and leave a comment. Did you cramp with these? Did you feel something off? Were you even able to do one repetition, keeping everything nice and steady, or were your hips going all over the place because you thought, this is easy? Leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to follow up with you. Until next time, remember, train smarter, not harder, because it is all about you.